The sun was just dipping behind the rooftops when Maya Thompson rode her old blue bicycle toward Westbrook Middle School. The chain rattled, the brakes squeaked, and the paint was chipped in too many places to count, but to her, it was perfect. It had belonged to her mom, and riding it made her feel close to her even now. It was Maya's first week at her new school, and she was determined to keep her head down, stay quiet, and avoid attention. New towns were hard enough, and being the new girl with no dad and no money always made things worse. As she approached the school gates, she spotted a crowd of kids gathered near the bike rack. Laughter, loud, mean laughter, echoed across the pavement. And at the center of it stood Brandon Hale, the mayor's son, the richest kid in school, and the self-appointed king of Westbrook Middle. He wore expensive sneakers, a designer jacket, and an expression that made it painfully clear he believed the world belonged to him. Maya tried to slip past unnoticed. No luck. Brandon's eyes locked onto her, and onto her bike. Well, he smirked loudly. Look what we have here. The new girl on a piece of junk bicycle. A few kids giggled. Maya kept her voice calm. Just let me park, please. Brandon blocked her path. Or what? You'll ride away on this trash? He grabbed the handlebar, jerking the bike out of her hands. Stop, Maya snapped, reaching for it. But Brandon shoved her back hard. She stumbled but didn't fall. Gasps rose from the crowd. Oh, did I hurt your feelings? Brandon mocked. Then with a nasty grin, he yanked the bike sideways and threw it to the ground. Metal scraped against concrete, a wheel bent sharply. Something inside Maya went still. That's my mom's, she whispered. Brandon laughed. Not anymore. He reached forward again, this time gripping her backpack strap and shoving her so she landed on her knee. The laughter grew louder. Maya inhaled slowly. Something in her shifted. She wasn't weak. She wasn't helpless. And she definitely wasn't someone who would let a spoiled bully destroy the last memory she had of her mom. She stood up, eyes steady. Don't touch me again, she said quietly. Brandon smirked. Or what? Maya took one step forward, and the entire crowd held its breath. The hallway of Jefferson Middle School buzzed with whispers the next morning. Everyone had heard some version of the story. The new girl, the bike, the spoiled rich kid, and the unexpected kick that sent a tooth flying. But nobody knew the full truth. And Maya, quietly locking her bike at the rack again, didn't care what version they believed. She just wanted a normal day, something she hadn't had in years. Inside the building, Austin walked in late, one hand pressed to his swollen mouth. His missing tooth was impossible to hide, so he didn't bother trying. The moment he stepped into class, snickers spread like wildfire. Bro, what happened? Who did that to you? Don't tell me the new girl? Austin's jaw clenched. He wasn't used to being laughed at. He was the son of town's most influential businessman. He was the one who usually laughed at others. But today, he kept his eyes down, burning with humiliation. Meanwhile, Maya sat quietly in the second row reading a book. She didn't look up, but she felt his glare like a knife on the back of her neck. During lunch, Maya chose a quiet bench under the old oak tree outside. She liked silence. She liked distance. She liked avoiding trouble. But trouble didn't care what she liked. Austin marched toward her, his two friends flanking him like bodyguards. Everyone nearby froze, watching, waiting. Maya looked up slowly. Her eyes were calm, unreadable. So, Austin said with forced confidence, you think you're tough? Maya sighed and closed her book. No. I think you shouldn't hurt people smaller than you. You broke my tooth. You pulled me off my bike. The students around them murmured. Austin hadn't expected her to speak so boldly, so simply. No fear, no anger, just truth. He stepped closer. Do you know who I am? Yes, Maya said, a bully. That single word cut deeper than the loss of his tooth. His friends glanced at each other, uncomfortable. Before Austin could fire back, the school counselor, Mrs. Diaz, appeared. She'd seen enough. Office, all of you, she ordered. Austin groaned, but Maya simply nodded and followed. As they walked, Mrs. Diaz's sharp eyes softened when she glanced at Maya. There was something familiar in the girl's calmness. A quiet pain she recognized. This wasn't just a school incident. Something bigger was coming. The next morning, the school courtyard buzzed like a hive. Everyone had heard about yesterday's fight. The rich bully Mason and the new girl, Lila, who defended herself with a single perfect kick that sent Mason flying. But today wasn't about the fight anymore. Today was about consequences. Lila arrived early, hoping to avoid the stairs, but instead she found the principal, Mr. Jacobs, waiting at the school entrance. Her heart pounded. Was she in trouble? Was she getting expelled on just her second day? Before she could speak, Mr. Jacobs raised a hand gently. "Lila, follow me, we need to talk." Inside the office sat Mason, a swollen lip, 2 missing teeth, and 0 attitude. His father, Mr. Reynolds, a powerful businessman, sat next to him looking furious. But not at Lila, at his own son. Mr. Reynolds stood up. "Miss Lila," he said, "I reviewed the security footage. Mason grabbed you, pushed you, and tried to take your bike. You only defended yourself. You did nothing wrong." Lila blinked in shock. Mason's father wasn't covering for him, he was holding him accountable. Turning to his son, Mr. Reynolds said sharply, "You will apologize, not because you got hurt, because you were wrong." Mason slumped in his chair. He looked like a deflated balloon, all his arrogance gone. "I'm sorry," he muttered. But Mr. Reynolds wasn't satisfied. Louder. Mason swallowed hard and looked Lila in the eye. "I'm sorry for pulling you off your bike. I shouldn't have done it." Lila nodded, "Thank you." But the moment wasn't over yet. Mr. Reynolds continued. "Since you chose to bully, you will now serve. For the next 2 weeks, you'll help repair bikes at the community center you damaged yesterday." Mason's eyes widened. "What? I'm not—" "One more word," his father warned, "and it becomes a month." Silence. Then something unexpected happened. Mr. Jacobs turned to Lila. "Would you consider helping too? Not as punishment, but because you clearly have skill, confidence, and leadership. The kids there could learn from you." Lila hesitated, then slowly smiled. "I'd like that." As she left the office, students whispered around her, but this time with admiration, not fear. She wasn't just the new girl anymore. She was the girl who stood her ground and changed a bully's life in the process. The school courtyard was still buzzing the next morning. Everyone had heard about the teeth incident, and groups of students huddled around benches, whispering and replaying the drama like a blockbuster film trailer. But Mia walked in quietly, backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes forward. No pride, no fear, just calm determination. Ethan, however, arrived with his mother, Mrs. Kensington, whose heels clicked across the pavement like bullets. Her expensive handbag swung on her arm, her chin lifted with practiced superiority. Students instantly stepped aside. "Where is the girl who assaulted my son?" she demanded. Teachers froze. Students stepped further back. It felt like a showdown. Mia stood still. "I'm right here." Mrs. Kensington smirked, scanning her like a stain on her designer dress. "So you're the new girl? The one who kicked my son and knocked out his tooth?" Mia didn't flinch. "Yes, ma'am, after he yanked me off my bike and pushed me." A wave of whispers rippled through the courtyard. Ethan looked down, cheeks burning. He knew this was true, but his mother didn't. Before Mrs. Kensington could lash out again, a deep, steady voice echoed behind them. "That's enough." Everyone turned. A tall man in military uniform walked toward Mia. Broad shoulders, sharp posture, medals glinting in the sun. Mia's face softened instantly. "Dad!" Colonel Avery Blackwell, decorated Army officer, respected war hero, put a protective arm around his daughter. The crowd gasped. No one expected this. Mrs. Kensington stepped back slightly. "You're her father?" "Yes, and I'd like to know why your son thought it was acceptable to assault her." Ethan finally spoke up, his voice cracking. "Mom, she didn't start it. I grabbed her bike, I shoved her, I wanted to impress the others. I didn't think she'd fight back," Colonel Avery finished. "She did exactly what I trained her to do, defend herself." Students nodded in agreement. Mrs. Kensington's jaw tightened, but she was cornered. "Still, violence, the colonel said firmly. "Your son caused the danger. My daughter responded to protect herself. That's not violence. That's strength." A teacher stepped forward. "We reviewed the security cameras. Mia acted in self-defense." Ethan swallowed hard. I'm sorry, Mia." For the first time, Mia looked him directly in the eyes. "Apology accepted, just don't do it to anyone else." And somehow, it felt like the real lesson had finally started.